14 edition of GPPmaster.com's Elite and Strategy. This is now week 14, and it's a millionaire maker on DraftKings. There are 4 millionaire makers that most likely left to go, and then we hit the playoffs. I do want to emphasize, and we said this all year, we're going to have another strategy session. They've been awesome. Our members love it. Third of the year for the playoffs, because what happens is at the end of the regular season, the pro players, the professional DFS players move over to NBA. The player pool shrinks with the NFL playoffs, and the prize is for the GPP shrink. There probably won't be a millionaire maker, but there will be $100,000 and $250,000 prizes. So it is a phenomenal window of time, wild card especially, divisional, and even championship weekend, to actually make money where our members now become the pros. So I want everyone to either subscribe or come into that. But right now we're on to week 14. And this was a week we are 4 to go. So we need a second millionaire maker winner. We had some really good winners on our membership last week. It was a good week. Jumping right in. So as always, I like a lot of quarterbacks. So there's 14 games, 28 quarterbacks, I think, for millionaire maker. I am going to be looking at 10 or 9 of them in my lineups. Some I'll use more heavy. Some I'll only use once. So first, starting with Jameis Winston. Obviously, Tampa's on fire. He's got the best receiver in daily fantasy or in fantasy with Mike Evans. He's at home. The weather's going to be good. The total in that game is 51.5, and you have the Drew Brees, the potential shootout, and the Saints have the 31st passing defense. So everything screams Jameis Winston in this game, and therefore I expect he will be the most owned quarterback of the week or the chalk. But that's okay, because you have 8 players. You can differentiate other places. So I will absolutely have a Winston Evans lineup. I will also take a lineup with Breeze. I worry about Breeze a little bit. Michael Thomas has not practiced yet, and it's Friday. So he may be out. He is their best receiver. Brandon Cooks does not do as well on the road as he does on the turf in the dome. So it may be an opportunity for guys like Fleener and guys like Brandon Coleman, who's had a couple touchdowns in the last few weeks. And, Breeze can throw to anybody, Snead, anywhere, anytime, and he should air it out in a 51 total game. So I will have a lineup with Breeze, but just keep an eye on that whole Michael Thomas thing, because it could be an effect there. Matt Ryan, this is the cheapest I remember him in weeks at $6,500, and DraftKings has dynamic pricing, so there's usually a reason for that. But Matt Ryan at $6,500 on the road in LA. It's supposed to be a little windy in that game. So that's something. Got to get my Starbucks shout out here. A little windy in that game. Total's only 45. And we got to keep an eye on Julio Jones' turf toe. But I expect he'll play. It sounds like he's going to play. It's a pain tolerance thing. Obviously, the last thing you want to do is have him play and leave the game into the middle of the second quarter. So definitely worth keeping an eye on. But Ryan's been airing it out, and this is a game you would expect, big game for them on the road. You would expect he could throw 3 or 4 touchdowns. So I will have a Matt Ryan lineup for sure. Kirk Cousins, not a great matchup at the Eagles. Weather's going to be good. Number 2 passing offense in the entire NFL versus, a 13th passing defense, so middle of the pack. But Cousins is absolutely on fire. And I have some other things receiver-wise I like about this game, which we'll come back to. So I will have at least a Kirk Cousins lineup. Again, total in that game, 45.5. Rivers, Cam Newton, total and over-under 48.5. Both teams' passing defenses stink. 30th passing defense for Carolina, 27th for San Diego. This game could be a shootout. I will have both Rivers and Cam in this game stacked, with the appropriate people, which we'll come back to. I like both of these guys. Rivers always goes on their own. He's not exciting. His receivers aren't exciting. But the guy puts it up and scores and throws touchdowns. Bottom line, he's going to have good weather in Carolina in a game that has potential to be high scoring, especially with Carolina's defense not really being, with Luke Kuechly out, being what it ever has been. Eli. I'm playing Eli in my traditional fantasy playoffs, my season long. A little worried about the snow factor on the East Coast in all these games. So there could potentially be some snow out here in New York. It's a huge game, crazy huge game. I would expect Odell Beckham Jr. to deliver in this game, period. Mega game at home for the Giants. They're not going to be able to run very easily on Dallas. They can't run on anybody. And, sneaky. Dallas looks 11-1. Defense looks really good when you watch them play. but they're actually the 29th ranked pass defense in the NFL. They can get thrown on, and they will get thrown on, and Eli should have a good game. I'm going to have a share of Eli. Again, not crazy, but I like Eli, again, with Beckham. Last week, everybody was on Kaepernick. Kaepernick, and the guy got pulled and did nothing. It was one of the worst games of any quarterback I've ever remembered, and he didn't even complete the game. He is going to start this week. He's at home. He has a matchup against the Jets, who are one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL. Terrible. I think they're a team that are traveling East Coast to West Coast. They've quit. These are two terrible teams. I think the Jets have quit on their coach. They quit on Monday night. Kaepernick's a tough stack. There's not that many people to stack him with, but he has the potential for 150, running yards, or 100 yards or 80 yards combined on the ground, getting bonuses. But I think it's he'll be low owned. Everybody will be off him after last week, and he has been pretty good on the fantasy front. So this is a game that I slide him in there in a lineup. And then Matthew Stafford, good weather, big game. I mean, the Lions are in first place. It's a huge game. Barkley and the Bears have been kind of slinging the ball all over the field too. This game Bears have a good defense, but this game has the potential, in the good weather, in the dome, at home, for Stafford to put on one of his 350-yard, 3-touchdown games. You get the Riddick factor, which can always catch a screen pass. So I'll have a lineup with Stafford. But those are the kind of quarterbacks we're targeting. Again, love Winston, love Ryan, love Cousins, love Rivers. And I think, you take a flyer with Kaepernick and Stafford. On the running back, so this is a big discussion here. Last week, I actually had and told you guys, you got to have David Johnson. And I even had Johnson and Bell in some lineups. So here's the deal with David Johnson. He's the most expensive running back. He's playing the 30th rushing defense at Miami, which will also be good weather. And listen, this guy hit 7 of the last 8 weeks, 30 or more DraftKings points. 30 or more, 7 of the last 8 weeks. His floor is ridiculously high. His ceiling is pretty high. Everything's awesome. Okay. He rarely has an off day. An off day is 17 points. So I think you have to pay up for David Johnson. Of the big 5, Johnson, Bell, Zeke Elliott, DeMarco Murray, and McCoy, I'm backed on Johnson again this week. Second choice on that list would be Bell. Again, weather in Buffalo is going to be cold and maybe snowy. Bell can catch. He'll have 8-9 receptions in that game. He can run. He scores. He gets the ball in the red zone. He does it all. So does McCoy on the other side. I just have a feeling both of those guys could have a big game. McCoy has the injury risk every game he plays. He has the Gillislee factor, which, with D'Angelo Williams out, Bell doesn't. So Bell's my second choice. I've said all year, don't fade Zeke, don't fade Zeke, don't fade Zeke. But you can't have everybody. And I just think the Giants' run defense is really good. They have a huge loss, obviously, injury front with JPJ, coming out here with John Paul. But, and look, Zeke will probably have 100 yards, and he'll probably have a touchdown. But I still like DJ and Bell better in that one. I may have a little bit of Zeke, small exposure. DeMarco Murray, losing some carries to Henry. Henry is really good, and he's coming on, and he's getting the ball inside the 5. And DeMarco, again, that's great game for him, but he's losing some carries to Henry. So, again, I think I prefer DJ and Bell there, and McCoy, I just said. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those guys, even both of them. If you want some more value, the next tier down, I would go as Matt Forte. $5,000 at San Francisco. As much as I don't like the Jets, everything is going to revolve around Matt Forte. Rookie quarterback, going to give him the ball. San Francisco cannot stop anybody. Anybody. They are the worst run defense I've ever seen. Right? We've talked about this like a high school. So I think Forte is worth a shot out there. Keep an eye on the Eagles. The Eagles are a problem because there's 3 heads. Matthews. I wish I had McCoy. Matthews is now back healthy. Smallwood taking carries, and Sproles. You never know who's going to get the ball and which way it's going to go. But they've struggled to run since Matthews has been out. He's healthy, and I would expect a lot of Ryan Matthews this week. And Washington is right on the heels of San Francisco as a team who just cannot stop anyone on the ground. And their Eagles are going to attack them on the ground because it's tough to beat them in the air with Josh Norman. So I do like Ryan Matthews. He's really cheap at $4,000. You just run that risk of the 3-headed monster over there. And Tevin Coleman, it's been the Devontae Freeman show for a couple weeks. Coleman's coming back from his injury. Coleman is explosive. He can catch the ball. He even as a tandem back, he can put up 20, 30 points, and I like him at $4,000. Wide receivers, real quickly, we'll blow through this because we're moving along here time-wise. On the stack, Winston Evans. And I'm going to do a lot of double stacks this week. This is a double stack week for me. Go for the gold, go for the home run. So Winston Evans, Cameron Brate, we'll come back to him at tight end. Breeze, keep an eye on Michael Thomas. I'm assuming he's hurt or going to be hurt or banged up or too risky to play this week. So if you got to go with Breeze, you could go Breeze and Cooks. You could go Breeze and Fleener, or you could go Breeze and Brandon Coleman filling in for Michael Thomas. I actually like that. Breeze, Cooks, Coleman. We talked about Matt Ryan. If Julio Jones is playing and healthy and okay to go, he should be able to finish the game with turf toe. I like Ryan, Jones, Gabriel. Gabriel again. One didn't do it like Tyreek Hill like last night. One big play. Gabriel missed it off last week, but one big play and he pays for you the whole day. That's it. 165-yarder. The guy is explosive and he could give you two of those. Kirk Cousins. Everyone's going to put him with Crowder, as I have every single week in this video, and you can do that again. But this is Deshaun Jackson, a guy who thrives on revenge, going back to Philadelphia in a big game, and I would expect he'll have a long touchdown. I just expect he will. So I like Cousins, Jackson, Crowder, especially with Reed hurt or probably out. Cam, I'm putting Cam with Olsen and Ted Ginn. I'm not going with Benjamin. Olsen's the sure thing. Ted Ginn, again, he's had like 6 weeks where he's had like a 70-yard touchdown. And Kelvin Benjamin has been disappointing, kind of a short red zone, slotty kind of target. I'd rather go with Ginn and go for it all if I'm going to do that with Cam. Phillip Rivers, Tyrell Williams, same thing. Big play, go-to guy. I know people are on Inman. I'm on Williams. Eli OBJ, that's a no-brainer. You have to do that up. And then outside of the tandem, a couple guys. I do like Kenny Britt. Atlanta cannot stop anyone in the air, and Kenny Britt's look good week after week, no matter who's playing quarterback, and he's pretty cheap. I like Terrell Pryor versus the Bengals with RG3 back. DeAndre Hopkins finally broke out last week. Got a pretty good matchup with Indy. Hopefully there's a little momentum for him there. Not a bad price. And listen, Allen Robinson is down to $5,000 on DraftKings. And I know they're playing the Vikings, and I know that is brutal. Okay, brutal for receivers. But there's a side of me that says you got to have a couple lineups with Allen Robinson at $5,000. You just do. He's too good to be priced at $5,000 no matter who he's playing against and no matter how bad the season has been. That's where you can really clean up. And I like Enunwa, another guy for the Jets, a little bit in there. Then Golden Tate with Stafford. We did that one. Tight end. I have 3 tight ends I like. That's it. Cameron Brate has delivered the goods every single week. $4,100, cheaper than some of the higher end guys. And again, I love Winston and Brate in that game. Vance McDonald, again, if Kaepernick does have anyone he has a tandem with or a stack with, it's going to be Vance McDonald. That's the guy I would go to. He's only $3,000. Should have a good week. He is Kaepernick's target against the crappy Jets defense. And last week was the Jared Allen show. Nobody owned them. 3 touchdowns. Crazy numbers. Unfortunately, on a Monday night, so he was outside a millionaire maker. But I still see Doyle being Andrew Luck's favorite target and more yardage and red zone target. And he's only $2,700 at home. Houston's not great against the tight end. Defense, I'm playing the Lions against the Bears at home. Big game for the Lions. Their defense has had 11 and 19 points in 2 of the last 3 weeks. They're playing really well. They're at home. And, the Bears are just a mess. The Bears are just a banged-up mess. And I just think the Lions are a good play at $3,600 and will not be crazily owned. Good luck. Bring it home. Let's win the million.